Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. The book of the month just dropped, which I'm a little surprised. It's pretty early, but maybe with the Labor Day weekend, they did it a little early. So I'm gonna go over the September book of the month picks and add-ons. So let's get into it. It says there's 6 hardcover selections, so a little bit more than past months. So the first one is To the Moon and Back by Eliana Ramage. It's a contemporary fiction. I don't know, the cover to me looks more like science fiction. Maybe the colors and the volcano, but contemporary. So, Quick Take is a young Cherokee woman sets her sights on the moon in this story of intergenerational bonds and unstoppable dreams. Over 400 pages, family drama, LGBTQ plus themes, and salacious. So the synopsis is Steph Harper is on the run. When she was 6, her mother, Hannah, fled an abusive husband, with Steph and her younger sister Kayla in tow, to Cherokee Nation, where she hoped they might finally belong. In response, Steph sets her sights as far away from Oklahoma as she can get, vowing that she will let nothing get in the way of pursuing the rigorous physical and academic training she knows she will need to be accepted by NASA and ultimately to go to the moon. So she's literally like aiming to go to the moon. That's really cool. Spanning 3 decades and several continents, To the Moon and Back encompasses Steph's turbulent journey, along with the multifaceted and intertwined lives of the 3 women closest to her sister, Kayla, an artist who goes on to become an Indigenous social media influencer and whose determination to appear good takes her life to unexpected places. Steph's college girlfriend Della Owens, who strives to reclaim her identity as an adult after being removed from her Cherokee family through a challenge to the Indian Child Welfare Act. Wow. And Hannah, Steph and Kayla's mother, who has held up her family's tribal history as a beacon of inspiration to her children, all the while keeping her own past a secret. In Steph's certainty that only her ambition can save her, she will stretch her bonds with each of these women to the point of breaking, at once betraying their love and generosity and forcing them to reconsider their own deepest desires in her shadow. Told through an intricately woven tapestry of narrative, To the Moon and Back is an astounding and expansive novel of mothers and daughters, love and sacrifice, alienation and heartbreak, terror and wonder. At its core, it is the story of the extraordinary lengths to which one woman will go to find space for herself. I don't know, that sounds like really good, but I don't know if I want to buy it through Book of the Month, but I would definitely read it. 400 pages is a little much right now. Oh, it does have content warnings. This book contains scenes depicting suicide and mentions of domestic abuse. I don't know, sometimes when the books span like 30 years like that, then it gets like too much in the weeds a little bit for me. But it does sound pretty interesting. So the next one is All the Way to the River by Elizabeth Gilbert, which is a memoir. It says love, loss, and liberation. So Elizabeth Gilbert bears her soul in this joyful and shattering memoir of grief, love, and addiction in all its forms. Am I supposed to know who Elizabeth Gilbert is? Let me check. Okay, so I just checked and she wrote Eat, Pray, Love, which I did not realize was actually a memoir. I thought it was a fiction, but that's cool. So now I know a little bit more about her. It says she's a journalist too, but so famous author, I suppose, LGBTQ plus themes, sad, and drug and alcohol use. I don't know if I want a sad one still. So let's see. 20 years ago, Elizabeth Gilbert's Eat, Pray, Love, should have just kept reading, inspired millions of readers to embark upon their own journeys of self-discovery. A decade later, Big Magic empowered countless others to live their most creative lives. I did not know she wrote that. I liked that book. Now comes another landmark book about love and loss, addiction and recovery, grief and liberation. In 2000, a friend sent Liz to see a new hairdresser named Rhea Elias. I don't know why I'm stuck on that, but An intense and unlikely curiosity sparked between these two apparent opposites. Rhea, an East Village badass who lived boldly on her own terms but feared she was a failed artist. Liz, a married people pleaser with a surprisingly unfettered sense of creativity. Over the years, they became friends, then best friends, then inseparable. When tragedy entered their lives, the truth was finally laid bare. The two were in love. I did not know that. Unacknowledged, they were also a pair of addicts on a collision course toward catastrophe. Oh. What if the love of your life and the person you most trusted in the world became a danger to your sanity and well being? What if the dear friend who taught you so much about your self destructive tendencies became the unstable partner with whom you disastrously reenacted every one of them? And what if your most devastating heartbreak opened a pathway to your greatest awakening? All the Way to the River is for everyone who has ever been captive to love, or to any other passion, substance, or craving, and who yearns at long last for peace and freedom. Wow. That sounds like a really good read. It does contain scenes depicting domestic abuse. I don't know. Okay, now that I know more that she wrote those two books and like that, I did not know her life was like that. That sounds pretty good. Maybe. Next, we have a horror, Play It Nice by Rachel Harrison. I can't read what this says. I think it says home is where the horror is. That's interesting. I like the cover, kind of. Inheriting a house from your late mom is emotionally complicated, especially when the house comes with a bonus demon. Feminist, supernatural, salacious, and haunted house. There's a demon in the house. Cleo Louise Barnes leads a picture-perfect life as a stylist and influencer, but beneath the glossy veneer she harbors a not-so-glamorous secret. She grew up in a haunted house. Well, not haunted, possessed. After Cleo's parents' messy divorce, her mother, Alex, moved Cleo and her sisters into a house occupied by a demon. Or so Alex claimed. That's not what Cleo's sisters remember or what the courts determined when they stripped Alex of custody after she went off the deep end. Oh, sad. But Alex was insistent. She even wrote a book about her experience in the house. After Alex's sudden death, the supposedly possessed house passes to Cleo and her sisters. Where her sisters see childhood trauma, Cleo sees an opportunity for house flipping content. Of course. Only as the home makeover process begins, Cleo discovers there might be some truth to her mother's claims. As memories resurface and Cleo finally reads her mother's book, the presence in the house becomes more real and more sinister, revealing ugly truths that threaten to shake Cleo's beautiful life to its very foundation. That sounds pretty good. And a horror is kind of like right season right now. Oh, it does contain scenes depicting self-harm. I wonder why it just says her sisters. Like, how many sisters does she have, and why don't they have names in this? But I'm sure they have names, maybe, in the book. That does sound pretty interesting. Next is a fantasy, Alchemy of Secrets, which is an early release, and they have a limited edition option for $3 more, by Stephanie Garber. In this glamorous, lore-filled tale, a grad student searches for a priceless object in LA's magical underbelly. I guess it doesn't come out till October 7th, so you'd begin it pretty early. It's action-packed puzzle, non-linear timeline, and a quest. I love quests. Let's see. Folklore 517, Local Legends and Urban Myths, taught by a woman called the Professor. Most students believe the professor's stories are just fiction, but Holland St. James has always been convinced that magic is real. When she tracks down a local legend named the Watchman, who can supposedly tell you when you'll die, the world finally makes sense. Except that the Watchman tells her she will die at midnight tomorrow unless she finds an ancient object called the alchemical heart. With the clock ticking, Holland is pulled deeper into this magical world in the heart of Los Angeles, into the path of a magnetic stranger, of course. Everything about him feels like a bad idea, but he promises Holland that her sister sent him to protect her. As they chase clues and stories that take them closer to the alchemical heart, Holland realizes everyone in this intoxicating new world is lying to her, even this stranger. And if she can't figure out whom to trust, not even the alchemical heart will save her. No content warnings. I don't know, is it just me, or do I not really feel like this is super fantasy just because there's magical objects in like the normal world? I don't know, that's like borderline fantasy. That's not really what I think of fantasy. Maybe magical realism. I guess depends how many fantastical legends are actually alive, but I like the cover as well. That's a maybe. Next is a romance, The Heartbreak Hotel by Ellen O'Clover, early release as well. I cannot read what that says, but there's something on the cover. Your baggage is something. I don't know. I don't know what this is, but unpack your emotional baggage and settle into this poignant, uplifting romance set in the peaceful Colorado mountains. Emotional, rural, slow build, and salacious. I feel like slow build and salacious doesn't really go together, but okay. Louisa Walsh emerged from a tumultuous childhood with a degree in counseling, a wealthy boyfriend, and her sunny outlook on life mostly intact. But that optimism is tested when she's dumped and left unable to afford rent on their gorgeous house in the mountains of Colorado. Wow, that sucks. Even with her life in disarray, Lou knows losing the one stable place she's ever called home is not an option. She asks her reclusive landlord, Henry Rhodes, to let her stay for free in exchange for renting out the house's many rooms as a bed and breakfast. Kind of a good idea. She's shocked when he agrees to her terms, and even more surprised to discover Henry is a handsome 30-something veterinarian with silver as temples and sadness in his eyes. Oh. One who does not take it well when Lou starts marketing her B&B as a retreat for the recently heartbroken. But as the Comeback Inn opens its doors to its weary, hopeful guests, Lou and Henry find themselves dancing around both their undeniable connection and the closely held secrets that threaten to topple this fragile new start. A chance at love here could be too close to home, or could be exactly where their hearts finally heal. That sounds sweet. Oh, it does contain mentions of the death of a child. That's sad. I don't know if I'd buy it, but I would definitely read it. So the last option is Discontent, which is a debut by Beatrice Serrano. It just says the collection as the genre. Is it just like, but it says it's a novel, not like a short story. I don't really know what that means. So, daydreaming about burning your workplace to the ground? Pick up this satirical, cathartic corporate novel instead. International drug and alcohol use, snarky, and under 200 pages. So, probably fast read. On the surface, Marissa's life looks enviable. She lives in a beautiful apartment in the center of Madrid. She has a hot neighbor who is always around to sleep with her, and she's rapidly risen through the ranks at an advertising agency. I don't know if that's an enviable life, but I guess, yeah. And yet she's drowning in a dark hole of existential dread induced by the expectations of corporate life, of course. Marissa hates her job and everyone at it. She spends her working hours locked in her office, hiding from her coworkers, binging YouTube videos, and taking Valium. She's an advertising agency. I mean, what is her job like day to day? If she could just watch a bunch of YouTube videos and lock her office door the whole day? When she has the time, she escapes to her favorite museum where she contemplates the meaning of human life while staring at Hieronymus Bosch paintings, or trying to get hit by a car so she can go on disability. Wow, that's really bad. But Marissa's success, which is largely built on lies and work she's stolen from other people, oh my god, and AI or no, is in danger of being unraveled when she's forced to go on her company's annual team building retreat. So she's just been riding on people's coattails. She's stolen the work from people. Isolated in the Spanish mountains, surrounded by a psychopathic boss, overly enthusiastic coworkers who revel in their exploitation, and a flirty retreat staff, and haunted by a deeply buried memory about a past coworker, Marissa is pushed to the brink of a complete spiral. Ugh, I don't know why I can't talk today. A darkly funny, provocative, and incisive tale of our modern times, Discontent explores the unease we bury 8 hours a day and how explosive it is when it rises to the surface. I wonder what this memory about a past coworker is. Maybe she stole that coworker's work and got the coworker fired somehow or something. It does contain mentions of suicide as well. I don't know, it kind of sounds interesting. The cover's very interesting. I guess that's her head. I was like, where is her head? Looks a little weird, but I don't know what the collection means as the genre, but those are the options. I'm kind of leaning towards actually maybe the Elizabeth Gilbert one now that I know who she is. That sounds kind of interesting. To buy though, I don't know. Maybe Discontent as well. Or Alchemy of Secrets, even though it doesn't seem that fantasy to me. I don't know, that most of them sound good actually. But I'm gonna have a hard time picking. But let me know what you're picking, and we can get into the add-ons as well. So, these definitely were. The Book of Lost Hours and Hemlock and Silver were there last time, but the Possession of Alba Diaz and The Lost Baker of Vienna were not. So I don't know why these are kind of out of order, but I think this one's new. The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas is a horror. Mexican heiress battles her literal inner demon in this bloody, heart-in-your-throat tale of romance and terror. Multiple viewpoints, supernatural, creepy, and international. In 1765, plague sweeps through Zacatecas. Alba flees with her wealthy merchant parents and fiancé Carlos to his family's isolated mine for refuge. But safety proves fleeting as other dangers soon bare their teeth. Alba begins suffering from strange hallucinations, sleepwalking, and violent convulsions. She senses something cold lurking beneath her skin, something angry, something wrong. Elias, haunted by a troubled past, comes to the New World to make his fortune and escape his family's legacy of greed. Alba, as his cousin's betrothed, is none of his business, which is, of course, why he can't help but notice her every time she enters a room or the growing tension between them, and why he notices her deteriorate when the demon's thirst for blood grows stronger. It does contain mentions of sexual assault. So I actually just started reading this through my library because I know it just came out last month, I thought, and I wasn't sure it'd be on Book of the Month. So I'm already reading it. I'm on page 20, but it's pretty good so far. And I'm probably just not going to buy it because I'm already reading it. But it is good so far. So there's also The Lost Baker of Vienna, which is by Sharon Kurtzman, which is a debut and a historical fiction. It says, when darkness comes, look for the light. Sorry, I had to pause for a second to cough, but in post-war Vienna, a young baker must choose between two very different men and two very different futures. 400 plus pages, nonlinear timeline, international, and multiple viewpoints. In 2018, Zoe Rosenzweig is reeling after the loss of her beloved grandfather, a Holocaust survivor. She becomes obsessed with finding out what really happened to her family during the war. Vienna, 1946. Chana Rosenzweig has endured the horrors of war to find herself, her mother, and her younger brother finally free in Vienna. But freedom doesn't look like they'd imagined it would, as they struggle to make a living and stay safe. Despite the danger, Chana seeks out most nights to return to the hotel kitchen where she works as a dishwasher, using the quiet nighttime hours to bake her late father's recipes. Soon, Chana finds herself caught in a dangerous love triangle, torn between the black market dealer who has offered marriage and protection and the apprentice baker who shares her passions. How will Chana balance her love of baking against her family's need for security? That's tough. No, a no content warning somehow? Black market dealer. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds kind of interesting. I don't know if I'd buy that either, though. And then there's The Academy by Ellen Hildebrand and Shelby Cunningham, contemporary fiction. Oh, and her daughter. I didn't know it was also shared between them. If your childhood dream was to go to boarding school, you'll love this dishy, aristocratic tale of high school scandal. Not really my thing, but 400 plus pages, teens, salacious, and academic. I don't think it should be salacious if it has teens in it, but okay. It's move-in day at Tiffin Academy, and amidst the happy chaos of friends reuniting, selfies uploading, and cars unloading, shocking news: America Today just ranked Tiffin the #2 boarding school in the country. It's a 17th spot jump. Was there a typo? The dorms need to be renovated. Their sports teams always come in last place. Let's just say Tiffin students are known for being more social than academic. On the other hand, the campus is exquisite, class sizes are small, and the dining hall is run by an acclaimed New York chef. And they do have fun. Lots of parties and school dances, and a piano man plays in the student lounge every Monday night. But just as the rarefied air of Tiffin is suffused with self-congratulation, the wheels begin to turn, and then they fall off the bus. Oh my gosh. One by one, scandalous blind items begin to appear on phones across Tiffin's campus, thanks to a new app called ZipZap, and nobody is safe. From Davy Banerjee, international influencer and resident queen bee, to Simone Bergeron, the new and surprisingly young history teacher, to Charlie Hicks, a transfer student who seems determined not to fit in, to Cordelia Spooner, admissions director with a somewhat idiosyncratic mythology. Everyone has something to hide. As if high school wasn't dramatic enough, as the year unfolds, bonds are forged and broken, secrets are shared and exposed, and the lives of Tiffin's students and staff are changed forever. The Academy is Ellen Hildebrand's fresh, buzzy take on boarding school life, and a thrilling new direction from one of America's most satisfying and popular storytellers. Does contain scenes depicting eating disorders and mentions of suicide. I don't know, not really my thing, but maybe you're into it if you want to add that on to your box. And then the last new add-on is Rebecca Ross's Wild Reverence, which is a fantasy. I know it says something on the cover and I cannot read it. They need to be able to zoom in or something so I can read that. Let me pause for. Okay, well, I went on Google to look at the images to see if I could zoom in, and that whatever writing is there is not on any of the images on Google, so that's a little weird, but whatever. So, this is set in the world of divine rivals. This tender book tells the love story of a goddess and a mortal who meet in dreams. Over 400 pages, forbidden love, multiple viewpoints, and salacious. Born in the firelit domain of the Underrealm, Matilda is the youngest goddess of her clan, blessed with humble messenger magic. But in a land where gods often kill each other to steal power and alliances break as quickly as they are forged, Matilda must come of age sooner than most. She may be known to carry words and letters through the realms, but she holds a secret she must hide from even her dearest of allies to ensure her survival. And to complicate matters, there is a mortal boy who dreams of her, despite the fact they have never met in the waking world. 10 years ago, Vincent of Becket wrote to Matilda on the darkest night of his life, begging the goddess he befriended in dreams to help him. When his request went unanswered, Vincent moved on, becoming the hardened and irreverent lord of the river who has long forgotten Matilda. That is, until she comes tumbling into his bedroom window with a letter for him. As fate would have it, Matilda and Vincent were destined to find each other beyond dreams. There may be a chance for Matilda to rewrite the blood-soaked ways of the gods, but at immense sacrifice. She will have to face something she fears even more than losing her magic, to be vulnerable, and to allow herself to finally be loved. No content warnings. I loved Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. But I also listened to it with the dual narration, and that made it so much better. So I'm kind of thinking this, because I looked it up, this one also has dual narration. So I think I might just listen to it like through my library, like audiobook. But those are the add-ons and the September options. So, like I said, I think I'm actually leaning towards All the Way to the River because it does sound interesting. I don't often read memoirs, but that could change. Alchemy of Secrets also sounds interesting, but it doesn't really sound like a fantasy to me. I think people are just making things say fantasy because that's trending, even though maybe it doesn't exactly fit under fantasy. But Discontent also sounds funny. So I'm kind of between those three, but let me know what you're gonna pick and or if you're gonna skip for the month. And I would really appreciate it if you could like the video, subscribe, tell a friend about the channel. Like, honestly, those things go a long way. And you can check out the blog at notesfromtheshop.com for more bookish content. So the link will be below. But thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all next month. Bye.